everyone, so my name is Kimberly Abramitis and I'm doing a speech on communication and how words affect people. So if you were like me, whenever you were growing up, you didn't really care what you said, like it didn't really matter, you just thought words were words and nobody should take anything offensively. So whenever I was getting older, I realized that people didn't like certain things that I said, or things could have a negative reaction. So I had to start biting my tongue and listening to what I was saying and realizing, wow, that sounded way worse than I thought it was going to be. So that was really whenever I started to realize that communication is a big part of our lives, and we really have to watch out for what we say and how we say things to one another. Huffington Post even did a story about divorce, and they found a lifestyle website, it's yourtango.com, that polled 100 mental health professionals, and it found that communication problems was the #1 cause of divorce, and that was 65% of couples that said that that was the reason for their divorce. So this speech, I will be telling you about how words affect people, how we should consider what we say before we say it, and how words can lead to actions. So one of my favorite things about words and communications is how it can really lead a movement and it can get people to stand up and take action. I mean, it could be something as simple as like Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, where it got people really thinking about civil rights and, what was right and what was wrong, and putting themselves in other people's shoes. So I think that's a really, really important thing to think about and maybe try and do something just as amazing as he did. So wider scale, words can have the power to move people, but then individually they can make people feel wonderful. I mean, it can be as simple, I love you, from your significant other for the first time, or your parents saying that they're proud of you, or like if you were me, it was your mom saying yes, you could borrow the car for the first time. And then it's also graduation speeches. I know, for me, sitting around listening to kids that I had known for 4 years talk about our greatest achievements, that was something that brought me to tears. So while words can also make you feel so amazing, they can also make you feel terrible and awful about yourself. So what we say can bring people to their lowest points of their lives. There's a lot of verbal abuse going around. Sometimes it's children to children, and then other times it can even be adults to children. I've heard mothers in supermarkets say, why did I even have you? And that's really shocking. Like, my mom never would have said anything like that to me. So I think that we really have to be conscious of who we're talking to and what we're saying, because everybody's always listening to you. For bullying, I know that bullying has become a really, really big deal. There's a lot of anti-bullying campaigns. And even I was bullied my freshman year of college. I spent a lot of time by myself and wondering if I even wanted to come back the next year, and I almost didn't. I almost dropped out and decided to go to community college back home. So even bullyingstatistics.org found that verbal bullying can affect someone emotionally and psychologically, and it leads to self-esteem issues and depression and a whole bunch of other things. I mean, it can even lead to substance abuse and then later suicide. So now that we have talked about everything good and bad about words, I want to emphasize the fact that we need to be aware of what we say. The New York Times said that people are more likely to remember negative events more than positive events. That's why in this visual aid there's a lot more negative words written down than positive words, because you're more likely to keep those with you than somebody saying you're beautiful or gorgeous or something like that. You're more likely to remember them saying that they hate you or that you should go die. So just think about what you say before you say it. Step in whenever you see someone being mistreated. My 65-year-old grandma, she literally stopped a 14-year-old and pulled him aside and started screaming at him at a elementary school parking lot for calling a little girl fat and ugly. So, and it was really funny to see his face go from happy and joyful at calling these names to scared that a 65-year-old woman was going to beat him up. So, I mean, and it got him to think about it, and every time I've seen him, he's never said anything mean to another person, so. And then put yourself in somebody else's shoes before you say something. Don't just automatically assume, because you don't know their life story, you don't know what they've been through, and that one word, that one mean word could be what pushes them over and makes them do something really, really extreme. And you should make verbal abuse uncool. BullyingStatistics.org said that many verbal bullies first learn to dominate others verbally by listening to how their parents interact with others. So again, that comes back to the point that kids are always listening, and they're everywhere. I mean, you can't go anywhere without seeing a small child. So again, be conscious of who is there and who is listening. So for the last few minutes, I've talked about how words can affect people, good and bad, how they can band people together, and how we should mean what we say. So again, just be aware of what you're saying and work on communication, because it's something that we need every day. That's it.